So I think another part of this weekend is a little bit doing some calm abiding. So Buddhism is basically one side is these things of developing insight, understanding, things, using your wisdom to try to understand things, using thoughts, inquiry, things like that. And then the other side is try to still the mind, make the mind very still and peaceful. So usually one tries to develop this peaceful mind, and then one uses this peaceful mind to inquire, right? If the mind is too agitated, so if you try to understand how things exist or develop love and compassion, your mind is constantly distracted by other thoughts, so not so successful. If you have a calm mind as a base, then whatever inquiring you do, whatever emotion you try to cultivate is very easy, because your mind has this basis of being calm. You can basically, it becomes an instrument. You can do with your mind whatever you want. If your mind is constantly distracted by other thoughts, no, you cannot do very much with your mind, because you constantly, have other thoughts, unwanted thought or emotion that arise. So that's why one tries to cultivate mental stability or samatha, calm abiding. But actually developing calm abiding is difficult, because the more busy one's lifestyle is, the more responsibility one has, the more worry, the more busy one is, the less that is conducive to develop a calm mind. So usually for people which want to develop calm abiding, the first thing is to have the condition to develop. So one has to have a certain lifestyle that allows developing calm abiding, if one wants to go very far in calm abiding. Otherwise, for our purpose, we try to develop little bit. So usually there's 9 stages develop calm abiding. So I think in everyday life one can get to level 4, level 5. And then one needs to go into retreat to get level in beyond. But yet to level 4, 5 is possible, depending your lifestyle. If you have lots of stress in your life, it's not possible. If you have a stressful life, forget it. Try to resolve your stressful life first. But I mean, most of us, after a while you get settled in your life and you're quite okay. Okay, you have your job, you have your child, things happen, but basically you're kind of comfortable with your life. Then you can get some level, in that level 4 or 5. You don't change the job too often, because each time you change the job, you have to learn new things, and you have to get acquainted again to this environment. So all this creates thought, and but if you have a stable job, I think the best job, to develop calm abiding is to be a curator, in a museum where you stand all day. Your job is just to stand there. So that's very easy, Then you come home, not much has happened. So you sit down. Okay. So if you have a boring job is best, for calm abiding, because not much is happening. Then when you sit down, not much. But jobs which are very very intense, very busy, and you have how to say, deadlines, you have to finish, So then you sit down and oh, this is there. Then you have to think about things that still need to be done. All this makes it difficult. But once one has a certain level of calm abiding, it doesn't matter so much. Even if you're very busy, it doesn't distract you, because you have to say you have enough control over your mind. And whenever you want, you can just sit down and, because calm abiding is a little bit like freezing your mind. Basically, you decide, I'm going to focus on this, and just focus on that. And then you make abstraction of all the rest. It's just by the power of the mind you decide that and you hold it there, right? So you're just able to do that. It's just a muscle, a mental muscle that you develop where you can freeze. So once that muscle is developed, even though your life is very busy, you decide, oh, now I'm thinking about that. And you just focus on that and you make abstraction of all the rest. It is possible. So the obstacle to calm abiding are two. So one is distraction. Why can't you focus, let's say, on the breath, or on the tip of your nose, or the space-like nature of the mind, or universal love? Why can't you do that? So one obstacle is distraction. Your mind gets thinking about other things, right? So one is distraction, and the second is dullness. The mind falls asleep. The mind becomes dull. So why can't you focus on the breath? It's either you get distracted or your mind falls asleep. Gets bored and falls asleep. The mind withdraws inside, and one of the biggest obstacle beginner which start meditating is that. So either, okay, let's watch the breath, but then 10 seconds later you start, your mind thinks about past, future, things that happened before you have to do after. Or you sit down and meditate and you fall asleep. Break, tea time, oh yes, you wake up. Then, let's sit down again. And you see that, some people have that experience, each time they sit down, they fall asleep. Why? Because the mind is used to, you see, when in everyday life, when does the mind go inside? Is when you go to sleep. That's what the mind knows. The mind has that habit. See, when does the mind look inside? Is when it goes to sleep. So it has that habit. So when you start meditating and you look inside, the mind goes there. Even though you're not sleep, you had your 8 or 9 hours. It's not like you need sleep. The different things when you need sleep, but it's just a habit the mind has to look inside, so it goes to sleep. So that's, at the beginning you have to. That's why it's good when you start meditating to meditate with the eye open. If you have that problem of falling asleep, you meditate with the eyes open, to prevent the mind of going too much inside. So you see, you could have perfect samadhi, perfect blissful meditation. You only have two problems: distraction and dullness. It's not much, isn't it? It should be feasible. Only these two things to overcome, right? It's not like a long list of problems. No, only two. Just distraction and dullness. And then you have, so distraction, dullness, you have the gross and subtle. So the gross distraction is then when you lose you see, let's say you decide to focus on the breath, or, you calm your mind by focusing on the breath. So the gross distraction is when you follow a thought so much that you forget your breath, right? And then the subtle form is that while focusing on the breath, you can at the same time follow distraction. Yes, that's the subtle form. So part of the mind is able to focus on what you decide, but then there's another part of the mind distracted, right? And then dullness is same, part of the mind. So you lose your object because your mind is so dull that you lose the object, right? And then the subtle form is like the mind is able to stay on the object, but the object becomes unclear. There's some kind of fog, veil between you and the object. So these are the things we have to overcome, gross and subtle dullness, and gross and subtle distraction. So very easy, only two things to overcome. So let's, for this meditation, we're going to do, for 10, 15 minutes. So at the beginning, when you do calm abiding, you sit comfortably. So at the beginning, you move a little bit your body so that you see that there's no tension, because with, how to say, so usually you start either by the top of your head and you go down and you imagine that you relax all the muscles, around your eyes, around your jaw, the shoulders. And some people have, and depending on your back, might have some tension in your back. Then your hip, your knees, your feet, your toes, your arm, your finger, hand. So imagine mentally you relax your body. And then you make this mental determination now for 10 minutes. I'm going to focus on the breath. So you can either focus on the tip of the nose, where the air enters the nostril. So it's a small area. So the advantage of that is that it's easy to notice when your mind goes away from that area. So when you inhale, you feel this air entering the nostril. And when it leaves, you have this feeling, this sensation of the nostril there. You can feel your lung completely. You breathe naturally, but when you inhale, the diaphragm goes down. Your belly goes a little bit out. You don't breathe just with the upper part of your lungs. Breathe with the whole lungs. So when you inhale, first the upper part of your lung feels, then the middle, then the lower part of your lungs feel. And when you exhale, the lower part of your lungs empty, then the middle, and then the upper part. Try to feel your breath. So while you do that, there's two things. There's the object, the breath, and then there's the awareness that watches the breath. Awareness, consciousness, mind, whatever you want to call it. See, there's the object, breath, and the awareness of the breath. When your mind, your awareness is calm, it can stay on the breath without any effort. Just stays there. But at the beginning, we might have a lot of distracting thoughts. Brings us away. Breath. So at that stage, as soon as we become aware that our mind has wandered off, we simply bring it back. And we try to extend the duration that our mind doesn't lose the object, the breath. So there's the breath you're aware of, and then there's the awareness of the breath. See, you can either focus on the breath or the awareness of the breath. See, you're aware of the breath. What is awareness? So you're conscious of the breath. What is consciousness? And then the distraction, they don't arise in the breath. Distraction arises within the awareness, in the consciousness, in the mind. You try to see these two things. There's the breath, the object you focus on, and then that things that focus on the object you call mind, consciousness, awareness. And when you have a distraction, the distraction doesn't appear in the breath. Distraction appears in the mind that watches the breath, awareness that watches. So distraction can be thoughts, can also be mental images, can be emotions. Is any mental activity that takes you away from focusing on breath. So when one starts meditating, different people have different level of calmness even when they start, you know. Some people have a very agitated mind, and some people have quiet mind, you know, natural. So it's not everybody same type of meditation. So the first strength or power of mind you develop is called hmm, see, is the mindfulness that doesn't lose the object. You try, so for example, at the beginning, you can stay still for 2 seconds, and then a thought comes, right? So and then the thought comes, distract you, you bring the mind back to the breath. Then you try to, instead of holding it 2 seconds, you try to hold it 3 seconds. Then the thought comes, you bring it back. Then you try to extend it to 5 seconds. See, you try to extend the duration where the mind is not distracted, right? So at the beginning, the mind is so much distracted that it's actually even difficult to stay on the breath any duration, right? Then gradually you're able to stay 5 seconds, then 10 seconds, then 20 seconds without being distracted. So the first job is try to extend the duration of not forgetting the object. That's what you focus on. See, is try to establish a continuity of you holding the breath. No? So you try to establish this continuity. So you see, it's almost like when I'm focusing on the breath, and you are on the lookout, or a thought will come to distract me. So I'm not gonna let it in. I'm gonna continue. You know, so you kind of aware that the thought is gonna come. For sure, you know, a distraction is gonna come, but I won't let it. You know, so you try to extend the duration. Getting. So that's the first strength or power of mind or way of to use the mind. So you have to expect that the distraction is gonna come. So you're alert, don't let it. And through familiarity with it, able to develop that skill, that mental skill. So at level 1, you cannot establish a continuity. At level 1, as soon as you start meditating, the distraction takes you away. You're not able to establish a continuity. At level 2, you're able to establish continuity, but you're more distracted. Let's say if you meditate for 10 minutes, more than 5 minutes you're distracted, and less than 5 minutes you're able to in the continuity. At level 3, you're able to establish a continuity, and as soon as you're distracted, you're able to bring the mind back. And so you have this continuity, a thought comes, you bring it back. Thought comes. And at level 4, part of your mind can stay without distraction. So there's subliminal distraction, but one part of your mind stays. So I think most people, when they start meditating, they start at level 1, 2, 3. You know, depending. Some people have naturally a calm mind, and some other people have very much difficulty. They start at really level 1 with lots of. Any question about this meditation? What was your experience? Were you able to establish a continuity, Anna?
And really what's happening like over there.
But when you decide to establish a continuity, can you?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's aware.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't fall asleep. It feels like there's still nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Is how long?
Short, not more than 10 minutes. When you do calm abiding, you start with short session because you try to do something with the mind is very precise, but actually it's very difficult. It's not, you're not just sitting there. You know, everything is beautiful, nice. So this type of meditation is more like subtle dullness. You know, one meditates, but the mind is unclear, it's not sharp. So for calm abiding, is that's not that's good meditation for another context. And I just meditate. And you know, like let's say in mindfulness meditation, you do a little bit like that, you know, in vipassana. So you watch your mind and you don't hold on to the thought, you don't hold on to the emotion, you know, you just let it pass. You know, you just watch, you don't hold on to it. It's different. Here, actually, you want to control your mind, you want to make it sharp. So it's actually exhausting to do it properly. You know, because you don't just watch the mind and don't you want actually to stop the mind, you want to control it, you know? So actually it's exhausting. So they say usually you do for 10 minutes, but then if you do that in retreat, you do 20 sessions of 10 minutes a day. You do many sessions. So you know, it doesn't mean you do 10 minutes and then you go to wander off and you know, you do 10 minutes and then you relax around. Then again, and again, and you relax, you stretch your leg, have a little sip of tea. And then when your mind is relaxed again, you know, like that. So you do that and like that. And then you see, it's almost like when you do calm abiding, it's like, you know, when it's a rainy day, first there's a water that drips down, you know, and then it makes a little path, and then all the drops follow the same line, you know, and then more water, and then it makes a deep grow, and then makes a little river, you know, and then it moves big, more, and then it makes a big river, right? The same thing with calm abiding. You do at the beginning, your mind doesn't know the path how to go into calm abiding. But gradually you repeat the same process and gradually it becomes easier, you know, easier. It's like the water going down there. So your mind knows how to get there. You know, your mind knows what to do, you know, how to find the object, how to stay there. You know, you have the tools and you look, and you go. You know? And you repeat that process each session, exactly the same. And then it becomes easier and easier. It's not difficult. It's just we don't know how to proceed, no? And we do many other things. So, challenge. Yeah.
My problem is that I get intense and I can response too much. Then it's very difficult for me to relax.
So usually one starts with the body being relaxed, you know, already that, and then the mind. It depends which level you are at. At a certain level, it's not bad to be intense. You know, it's exhausting, but actually it's useful because otherwise you just get distracted. So sometimes at the beginning you have to be quite intense to not lose it. And then once you're able to hold it without losing it, you start relaxing, without losing it. But at the beginning, it's called forceful engagement. So you actually need some power of the mind to not losing it. Because otherwise, if you don't make that effort, then you just follow distraction. So you need that force attention at the beginning, right? And then once let's say you're holding it to the force of your will, let's say, and then you see that you can actually hold it 30 seconds, 1 minute, then you start relaxing because you can hold it, right? So then you start relaxing and you still keep the continuity. But at the beginning, it's not necessarily bad, to be intense. But then later on, while you have the continuity and you keep that intensity itself will create distraction, right? So at one point it's useful and then it becomes a problem. Good, yeah, good. Okay. So I thought we're going to read the text aloud together. So we have an idea of the whole text and then we can start. Homage to great compassion. This instruction handed down by Seligpa help us transform the problems of our degenerate kind into factors supporting our progress to enlightenment. In this way, they are similar to a diamond, the sun, and a medicinal tree. First, do the groundwork. Remember how precious this human life is for spiritual development, how everything is transient and that death can come at any time, how cause and effect are infallible, how existence conditioned by karma and mental affliction is suffering. Awareness how things ultimately exist. See all phenomena as dreamlike. They are not independent of mind or mental designation. Examine the ultimate nature of mind. Understand that this ultimate nature is also empty of inherent existence. Allow the mind to abide in the experience of a space-like emptiness. In post-meditation, see everything, including yourself, as illusion-like. Knowing how things conventionally exist, train in great compassion. Beginning by placing all blame on one thing, self-centeredness. Then meditate on the kindness of all beings. Alternate taking and giving, for taking beginning with yourself. These two, taking and giving, ride on your breath. On the basis of three objects, the three poisons arise. Transform them into three sources of virtue. Three poisons, pleasure, pain, and neutral sensation. Three poisons, attachment, aversion, and indifference. Three sources of virtue, use your own three poisons to free others from theirs. In daily life, use reminders. For example, may all beings suffer and ripen upon me. May all my virtues ripen upon them. When misfortune fills the world and its inhabitants, transform them into the path for awakening. See all misfortunes as purifying your negative actions. Use them to train in renunciation, compassion, and emptiness. Immediately apply this mind training to whatever happens in your life. Enhance your progress with four activities: accumulating merit, purifying obscuration, may offering to spirit, and to Dharma protectors. The summary of what to do in life and death. In brief, the essence of mind training is to apply yourself to the five strengths: strong determination, motivation, familiarization with the two Boddhicitta, positive seed, cultivating wholesome actions, abandonment of self-grasping and self-centeredness, aspiration, prayer, dedication. The Mahayana instructions for how to die are those very five strengths and the body posture. Strong determination, may I able to die mindful of the two Boddhicitta. familiarization, meditate on the two Boddhicitta till the last breath. Positive seed, offer your belongings to those who have been kind to you, as well as to your teacher, the three jewels, and the poor. Abandonment, purification of those deeds. Aspiration, prayer. May I never be separated from the two Boddhicitta in all my future lives. May I be born in a pure mind as human. Measure of success in mind training. You are successful if all of your spiritual practice have one aim, to gradually reduce and eliminate self-grasping and self-centeredness. Of the two witnesses, rely on the main one. Rely on yourself instead of others. You are able to maintain a content mind, unaffected by the eight worldly concerns. You overcome self-centeredness. You possess the five signs of greatness. Use each moment to enhance bodhicitta, pure morality through continuous awareness of karma, avenge to bear hardship in combating delusion. Body, speech, and mind never separated from bodhicitta, well trained in the six perfections. You are able to practice even when distracted. Mind training commitments. Always abide in the three principles. Your mind training should not completely rebel, nor become a cause of arrogance, and should be impartial. Change your attitude, but act naturally. Don't speak about the shortcomings of others. Don't think about them. Deal first with your strongest disturbing emotions. Give up over reward. Always doing positive actions toward your motivation. Don't be loyal to your delusions. Don't disparage others. Do not hold grudge or wait in grudge. Do not take advantage of the weakness of others. Do not pass your own responsibility or blame of your fault on someone weaker than you. Do not engage in mind training or ritual for selfish purpose. Do not seek the best, hoping for praise. Do not allow your spiritual development to make you feel superior. Do not take advantage of the suffering of others. Mind training advice. Maintain awareness of either relative or ultimate bodhicitta in all your actions. In all adversity, applying one remedy, giving and taking. Remember the two activities, one at the beginning and one at the end, motivation and dedication. Be passionate, whatever happens, be good or bad. In all situations, hold your practice, including the mind training ones. Train in the three activities that are difficult. Recognize the presence of mental afflictions. Apply the antidotes and prevent their recurrence. Acquire the three essential factors for spiritual growth: a qualified teacher, a mind intent on practice, and a supportive material condition. Don't let these three degeneration, devotion to the teacher, enthusiasm for mind training, wish to help beings. Always do virtue actions with body, speech, and mind. Mind training impartially, and from the depth of your heart towards your enemy. Pay special attention towards those related to you. Don't be swayed by external conditions. Practice what is most important at this time, bodhicitta, and applying the antidote to delusions. Don't follow the worldly mind. Be consistent in your practice. Train wholeheartedly. Free yourself from delusions by using investigation and anonymity. Don't boast about your positive actions. Don't be bad-tempered. Don't be fickle, arrogant in gratitude or thank-yous. Because of my many aspirations, I have died by the tragic trail of suffering, and have taken instruction to subdue grasping. Now, even if death comes, I have no regrets. So this text was composed by Geshe Chekawa, and so this is cool in the Kadampa Geshe. You see where yogis, meditators, they compose texts like that to help them train their mind, and then they read it every day, or they meditate on it, and actually usually they memorize it and then they recite every day, and then they check whether they live in accordance with those precepts. So basically, these yogis which do that, they have already generated renunciation. Usually there are people living in caves or in hermitages, or they are monks in monasteries, things like that. So they already have this base. And then the main work is to develop love, compassion, bodhicitta, and to realize emptiness. Right? So these texts mostly focus on how to get a little bit emptiness, and then how to train mostly in love, compassion, bodhicitta, and how in everyday life, you try to cultivate that while you go about your daily activities. So that's what this text is about. So I like it. I read it quite, from time to time I read it and reflect on it, because it shows you where you are at. If you train in love, compassion, and emptiness, you see the text shows you, whether you actually, doing well or not doing so well. With your mind, it shows you like that. So it starts with homage to great compassion. So usually when a person composes a text, he pay homage to someone. So either if it's a text about emptiness, usually it's homage to Manjushri, things like that. And if it's about bodhicitta, love and compassion, usually it's Avalokiteshvara, or he is homage to great compassion, which is the cause. Basically, the main cause of enlightenment is compassion. The root, what you see, to reach liberation, the main cause is emptiness. Is is have detachment, having having the wish to become free of our mental illness, our attachment, grasping, things like that. So that's the main cause of liberation, is the wish to become free. On the bodhisattva path, that's not it's there, but the main cause is compassion, is the wish to help others. Right? So the root cause of enlightenment is compassion. So compassion will make you become, out of compassion for others, you wish to free them from their pain, from their problem, right? And then you realize that you yourself are limited, so you want to develop the qualities that you're actually able to help, right? So that will lead you to become bodhisattva, wishing to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. And then by training in giving, in ethic, in patience, perseverance, concentration, and wisdom, you become a Buddha, right? And then out of Buddha, come all these activities of benefiting all living beings. So where does the Buddha come from? It comes from Bodhisattva. Where the Bodhisattva come from is from Boddhicitta, and where Boddhicitta came from is from compassion. So, here in this text, he praises compassion, pay homage to compassion, which is actually praising the whole path. So these instructions were handed down by Selingpa. So Selingpa was a master which lived in Indonesia, in maybe 6th century, like that. And then Atisha, went to study with him for 12 years. And then Atisha, which was one master that lived in Nalanda monastery, was invited to Tibet in the 10th century, and he brought these teachings to Tibet, right? So in the 10th century, and then a few generations later, Geshe Chekawa wrote this text based on this teaching of Atisha. So the root where it came from was for Selingpa, and they were handed down from generation to generation. Atisha brought them to Tibet, and then Geshe Chekawa wrote this. It helps us transform the problems of this degenerate time into factors supporting our progress to enlightenment. So this degenerate time what is degenerate, in terms of the environment is difficult because pollution and overpopulation, this type of outer problem, and the inner problem, we have lots of emotion, a lot of attachment, anger, pride, jealousy. So this inner, whereas in previous time the environment was better, people had less mental affliction. So now it's, in that sense, more degenerate than before, and it's more difficult to get spiritual progress because the environment, how to say, very interesting. In this, the industrial revolution was supposed to make us work less. They speak about, you only have to work 2 days a week, or one, or something like that, and then the machine would do all the work and everybody would leave, without having to work. But actually, it hasn't happened like that. So in ancient time, for example, Lama Zopa Rinpoche often says, actually, life is easier for spiritual practice in Asia. There's less, you have less responsibility, you have less. Here the life is physically more comfortable, but psychologically you're more busy. You have more responsibility, more things in your mind. Whereas in Asia it's poorer, you have less material, but your mind is actually freer. So he says, it's easier actually. He feels for Western people, but he says it's actually easier to practice in the East. As here in the West, to maintain this level of comfort, you have to do all this, this work to maintain it. Yeah. So in this way, it is similar to a diamond. So usually a diamond is the hardest stone, the most precious stone. And so it kind of, with a diamond, you can cut all others. I think one uses diamond to cut metal and things like that. It's the hardest stone. And like the sun, the example of the sun is like the sun removes all darkness. Whenever the sun comes, all darkness disappear. So like this instruction are like that. They dispel all our mental affliction. And like a medicinal trees, all the part of the tree are actually useful. So the bark is used for certain things, sickness, the flowers for another, the leaves for something else, the branches and the roots, everything is useful. So in the same way, this instruction, have this capacity to be healing our mind. That. So usually first one does the groundwork here. So basically one has to see spiritual development of love and compassion and of realizing how things actually exist are made in a certain context. So it is a Buddhist worldview. Everybody has had this kind of teaching before or not? So here it starts with remember how precious this human life is for spiritual development. So this actually is a meditation. This groundwork actually is how I start my day every day, how everybody should start his day. If you don't do it like that, your spiritual practice is like building a castle in the sky. It doesn't have any foundation. So usually, for example, Lama Zopa Rinpoche does a lot of prayer every day. But often in the morning he spends maybe an hour or two doing these meditations. So often his attendant, Venerable Roger, comes, because they have to travel, they have to take a plane or something. Where are you in prayer? I haven't started yet. I'm still under motivation. So I think it's something we think, because we have read it many times, that we have the actual experience. But actually, each meditation has different levels of, so the first level, you get the instruction. So you have the wisdom, the kind of wisdom inside that comes from hearing. You know, so you hear about the preciousness of the human life, right? So you hear that your consciousness is something immaterial that is beginningless, is endless, you know, that you have. So you try to imagine what could have been your life before this one, what could have been the life before, the life before, the life before. So imagine that you had 100 life, 1,000 life, million life, you know, and each time you're born, you have to learn a language, you have to grow up, you have to learn a skill to live. You know, you might have a family, you might not. You know, and sometimes you're born in a war situation, sometimes famine, sometimes you're well off, you're rich, sometimes you're intelligent, smart, sometimes you have to deal with sickness your whole life. So, you know, you imagine all these different types of life you've had. You know? So you can use your imagination. Oh, you know, you look what other people use. Yeah, I could have had all that in life, you know. And then it makes you feel a little bit, wow, not again, you know, not another one. Can you know, because we have this feeling this life is unique, it's exciting, you know, it's new. But if you imagine you have had billions and billions of life, you know, and I still not enough, you know, I still haven't drank enough Coca-Cola, you know. I still haven't gone on holiday on the beach enough, you know. I still need, you know, go hiking the mountain once more, you know, not enough. You know? So it makes you kind of. So and then this life is very special compared to other life, because this life you have the opportunity to reach, to get not only create the cause for a good in our life, you can create the cause for achieving liberation or enlightenment. So in many of our past, we didn't have these conditions. We didn't meet a qualified teacher, or if we met, we had no interest. We were busy doing something else. You know, so not this, you know, not now. Now I'm going to the beach. You know, maybe teaching another time. Now I'm going to the beach, or I have to take care of my family, or I have to take care of my business. You know, you might have met the Buddha, but you weren't ready. You know, you were busy doing other things. You know, so like let's say people live in Dharamsala. You know, there are many Indians doing business there. They never go to the teaching. They live there with the living Buddha, but they have no interest. Oh, they're busy with their family, with their job. Oh, Dalai Lama lives here. Good business. You know, many tourists come. So they like the Dalai Lama because it's a good business. You know, but they have no intention to train. You know, to train their mind. And we have been like that many times. So. And then many times we were born in places there were no teacher around at all. So we're born, like, many people in the world nowadays, they're born in a situation, there's no teaching, no Dharma, no, you never hear even of spiritual development, you just hear about how to make money, how to raise a family, and how to live happily in this life. So many lives we were like that. We were born in places there were no spiritual teacher, or if there was spiritual teacher, we weren't interested. So they say to be born in a place and time where there is the availability of teacher and oneself has interest is very, very rare. And that's what's called a precious human life. It's not just life, is these two conditions coming together, you meeting qualified teacher and you having interest. So these two things coming together, and that's very precious because of what you can do with it. You see, an ordinary person, what does he do with it? He's not aware of karma, so he doesn't know how to create cause of happiness. You see, whatever we experience as happiness and pain doesn't happen at random. It happens due to our causes we create ourselves. So even a little breeze, the door comes in and a little draft of cool air comes. It is pleasant. This is a result of a positive karma we have created. If we didn't have created the karma, that cool breeze couldn't affect us. you know. I like that. So everything, every happiness and pain we experience is the result of karma. There's nothing that is not created due to karma. And or spoken another way, merit, you know, the positive karma we create produce all the experience of happiness, and all the experience of pain, mental trouble, difficulty is a ripening of our own negative action created either in this life, the life before, or billions of life ago. It's never lost. No? So this is a very difficult concept, you know, if you think about it. It's actually very difficult. But what are the alternatives? No? So all your pain and problems appear at random. There's no cause. You know, you experience something, there was no cause for it. You know, it just happens. Why, you know, why do I get cancer and not you? It's just chance. You know, there's no cause. You know, I'm wealthy, you poor. There's no cause. It's just chance. It just I had the chance to be born in that family and you in that, and it just happens at random, right? So that's one option, right? And then the third option is a creator. Somebody sends you those experience for some reason, right? You know, so those who believe in a God creator, you know, so he creates you, your life and your experiences and things like that, right? So these are the three options, right? So if you really think about it, the one that makes more sense is that, you know, the idea of karma, of the imprints you put on your mind, you know, and then this produces effect. So in Buddhism, we are the creator of our own suffering. We are creator of our own happiness. We are basically whatever happens to us as good and bad is the wrapping of our own, you know. So if you have a good life, if you're happy, you know, you have good relationship with others, so you can congratulate your past life. You say, thank you, you did good job. You did good job. Thanks. And if you have problems in your life, who can you blame? You can blame your past life. You know, you cannot blame other people. You create the cause for what's happening to you. So once you have this condition coming together, you have some spiritual aspiration and meet qualified teacher. Then by following in this, you see, with this life, basically, how to say, for an ordinary person, they don't know how to create cause for happiness and how to eliminate the cause for pain. So they live their life creating action. They don't know what they create, whether it's cause for happiness and cause for pain. They have no control. You know? But once you know how to create, that virtue brings happiness and negative deeds create suffering. So you try to avert creating negative action and you purify those you create and you enhance your positive deed. So the result, you go from happiness to happiness. You know, in this life, future life, you control where you go, you know, what's happening to you by controlling your mind, by controlling your deeds. So once you have a precious human life, it's almost sure you can reach enlightenment because you control your future. You create your future by dealing with your mind. You know? So with the precious human rebirth, you create the cause for another precious human rebirth. You see, you how to say, what creates a perfect life to get conditioned to reach spiritual realization next life. So you how to say, you have to try to cultivate good ethic, you know, not harming other living beings, not cheating and things like that. And whatever negativity you do, you purify. And then you try to be a generous person, you know, you share other your skill, your knowledge, you know, your good heart and things like that. The things you own, you share with other. And then you make aspiration prayer to meet teacher again next life. You know, to meet again. And due to these three conditions, ethic, generosity, and aspiration prayer, these are the conditions that make you meet next life, a teacher and you having aspiration to spiritual development, whether in a human form or in a deva form, in the God realms. So it's not only humans, and there's not only this planet, there are countless planets where it's possible. So once you know these three things, so you try to cultivate that, and then it's definitely that at the minimum you create the condition again to make further development next time. And then you're training calm abiding, and wisdom, and then gradually over a few lifetimes you can reach liberation. That. And then if you enter the Bodhisattva path, if you care for all living beings, you enter the Bodhisattva path, and then you see, it's not like how to say, for an ordinary person, from lifetime to lifetime, the mind can degenerate and you get, worse and worse and worse, and then suddenly you have again a nice life, but then it degenerates again, things like that. But once you know how to train your mind, and that happiness and good depends on your mind, you can control your next life. And each life you can control your next life. And then that's why, for example, a bodhisattva path can take 3 eons, millions of lives, but it's from one life to the next, your mind progresses, becomes better and better, develop more quality. Like that. And then with this body, so we can enter the bodhisattva path, the path to omniscient mind. Then even in this time, we can, through the practice of Tantra, we can even, it's possible, the method is still there to reach enlightenment in one lifetime, or, at the time of clear light of death, or in the bardo, or in a very few lifetimes. They say, for those which have the 6-session Guru Yoga, simply by doing that practice and try to keep those vows as much as possible, maximum of 16 lifetimes we can reach enlightenment. So we have all these tools, all these methods are still present. So a person that, like us, so it's very fortunate from our side, to be in a condition to have the leisure, and the interest and the outer condition of having living master like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, still present in this world. That's very good. So that's what, so you see, how to say, in the morning when I wake up, I can say, oh, today I could go to the beach. Nice beach, it's warm, sunny, or I could go on holiday in the mountain. And there's nice cows with the bells, and fresh water and beautiful flowers, Or I could go to Tahiti on holiday. So, I mean, there's so much things that one could do, right? But then I think about the precious human life, how, what I could do spiritually, because going to the beach, going to the mountain is good, but if I don't develop my mind, I don't have anything to take with me, when I die. So, and like that, so thinking about the preciousness of this condition, makes you try to take the essence of this life, try to make some kind of spiritual progress. So, and then the next contemplation is how everything is transient and that death can come at any time. So, I think the awareness that we're going to die is not that difficult. I think the second awareness that every day we are a day closer to death is a little bit more challenging, because nowadays we think we can extend our life by having a good diet, making exercise, doing all these things, we can extend our life. But actually, every day we're a day closer to death, and we cannot prevent it from happening. So actually, it's funny how the mind is this mind of feeling permanent. You know, we all know we're going to die, but you know, it's down the road. You know, somewhere, the big future. You know? Now I have plenty of time. You know? So this meditation, you try to see, okay, each day closer to that. You might have 100 days left, so now it's 99, 98, and like that. And then you try to reflect that, oh, the death can happen even today. You know, I can go out and a car hits me, you know, or I can have a heart attack, you know, stroke, and die. So there are many people this morning that woke up and, oh, I'm gonna have a good day today, you know, and then they die about, you know, from something. So, and then the reflections at the time of death, you know, no matter how many friends I have, none of them can help me, you know. No matter how much money I have, nothing can help me when I die. And not even this body that I like so much and that I take so well care of, you know, can help me when I die. The only thing that helped me is my spiritual progress, you know, my peace of mind, my love, my compassion, my realization of empty. That only my inner qualities come with me, you know, when I die. So by thinking along those lines, I said, okay, you know, I have to spend most of my time taking care of my mind because it's the only thing that will come with me when I die. And then, so the basic is, you know, how cause and effect in fiber, you know, so how negative actions, you know, bring suffering and how positive deeds brings happiness. So whatever we do out of love and compassion, out of patience, out of an absence of attachment, anger, and attachment and anger brings happiness. So whatever action you do for other will bring you happiness in the future. Whatever you do out of attachment and aversion brings suffering. So this is actually the main job, you know, the main job of many people, of many yogis, is to check that each action they do in the day is positive. Whatever they do, they try to do it as a virtuous action, as a positive action that brings happiness. And they try to avoid or reduce all the actions that brings pain, suffering. So many great yogis, you know, they spend the whole life studying, meditate, and then the end of their life, what they do is to take care of their karma. Because a tamed mind is aware of each action, what consequence it has, and tries to make only actions that are positive and avoid all actions. This story of this monk, you know, he had piles of black stone and white stones, and each time he had a negative action, he would put one stone. Each time he had a positive action, put a white stone. And then, so at the beginning of his retreats, you had a huge pile of black stones in the evening and only a few white stones, you know. And as his progress, you know, as the retreat went, more and more white stones and less black. So it's kind of good image of ourselves. You know, ourselves, I think we are very little aware whether our actions are positive or negative. We just do whatever comes. You know. We're not so aware, or we are aware in general. You know, in general, we have quite a good heart and we try not to harm others. You know, so we have in general awareness of our karma, but not each specific thought, each specific action. You know? And we don't, you see, and most of our action, those which are negative, are neutral. You know, for example, we take a shower. If we don't do it out of attachment for ourselves, it's a neutral action. You know, you cook lunch. If it's not out of attachment to yourself, you do it out of habit, it's neutral. No, you eat food. If you don't eat food out of attachment, you don't think out of that, it's neutral, right? So we don't, and neutral doesn't mean it's neither bring happiness nor pain. So we don't train ourselves to transform the neutral action into positive. So a yogi is able to transform all his action into positive. So that's the main job of a spiritual practitioner. So even though you might practice Tantra and you might meditate on emptiness and Boddhicitta, but if the basis of taking care of your karma is not there, you still will experience pain because it depends on karma. Whether we experience happiness or not, it depends on how we take care of our karma. So this is, and it's infallible, a positive action will never bring suffering and a negative action will never bring happiness, So this is, yeah.
Sometimes you try to help others, but you don't know how, or it's even harmful to them because maybe they feel restricted or something. You write those.
Well,
decided.
You see, karma, you have three parts, right? You have the motivation, the intention why you do something, and then you have the action itself, and then you have the result of the action, the completion of the action. So the main thing that creates karma is the motivation, the intention. So if you have the intention to help other, even though you're not successful, still it's good because your motivation, your intention. So if your intention is to help other, then it turns into a positive action. But if you help other because out of attachment to yourself, you want something back for yourself, you want some thank yous, or you want, so then it's spoiled by the attachment you have for yourself. But any action done out of love and compassion is positive. But I mean, in a day, many action we do is out for ourselves, out of attachment to ourselves. So we try to reduce this action done of attachment to ourselves and cultivate the opposite. So this is really the main job, So in the evening, it's good to look back through the day, what did I do good? And in the good things you do, you can increase their power by rejoicing, by being happy. Oh, I did this good action. Then you feel, oh, it's nice. I helped my mom. I went shop with her. I helped her. Oh, that's good. Nice. Thank you. So you feel happy. They say each time you rejoice, it multiplies its power by 2. So if you don't rejoice in your good deeds, it just stays like that. If you rejoice, you feel happy, oh, I helped that person, then it's 2 times that power. And then if you think about it again it multiplies. So it's very good to feel happy with the good deeds you do. It's actually, So in the evening, it's good to think about, before you go to bed, or while you wash your teeth or brush your teeth or whatever your daily routine, you think about what you did in the day and feel happy about good things you did. And then there's another practice which the yogis put most emphasis on. There's one practice which can lead you to enlightenment like a rocket, which can actually make you create positive karma amazingly. You don't need to do anything. Lama Yeshe used to do, I lay on the beach, I sip Coca-Cola, I create more merit than you doing retreat. Because while I lay on the beach and sip, I rejoice in all you people doing retreat. So I create more merit than you doing the retreat. It's very interesting. Then when you think, so at the beginning, when I heard that, when Rinpoche Lama Yeshe told that in a retreat in Italy, And I was thinking he was joking. He was just making, I think he was just joking, making, and we all laughed. And, it was hot, in Italy, trying to do retreat. But then when you hear the teaching about rejoicing, so let's say you rejoice, let's say your partner or your friend does a good deed, and you rejoice in him doing that good action. He helps someone. Say, oh, that's nice. Happy. He did that good thing. So if you're spiritually more developed than that person, you have the double the merit that that person did the action. So for example, she gives some food to a dog. A dog, and the dog is happy, and you rejoice, and that person is less developed spiritually than you. You get double the merit, the positive karma that person. If you are at the same level, you create the same merit. If that person is higher, you get half his or her merit. Now, if you rejoice, so in the bodhisattvas, which do everything out of love and compassion, so they create huge merit in it. If you rejoice, you get half their merit without doing anything. And there's not one Boddhicitta, there are billions of Boddhicitta. So you rejoice in all the Bodhisattvas. You're so happy that all these people are out there doing good things. And you get half the positive. And they say if you rejoice in the amazing actions of the Buddhas, you create 1/10 of the positive action. So every day I try to rejoice in what the Dalai Lama does. That's good investment. So I think it's very easy, but they say whatever positive happens to us is a result of karma, of merit. And the best way to create merit is to rejoice in other people, because you can only do so much, but you can rejoice in what other people do as good out there. All the people which do retreat, which study, which have all these realization, you just rejoice, and it does incredible positive to your mind. And also the mind of rejoicing is an antidote to jealousy, envy. The best antidote, to be envious or jealous of others' good things, good fortune, their wealth, their mental qualities, their environment. Instead of being jealous, you rejoice for them. How happy, they create the cause for that. Now they have this result. And if I rejoice, I will get the same thing somewhere. I think it's important evening to rejoice. You start by yourself, you look back at your day and you rejoice in your good action. Then you rejoice a good part in your family, your friends, and then whatever you hear in the news that was positive or you hear about other people, you rejoice, and then you think about all the spiritual beings and you rejoice in their qualities up to the Buddha. And then whatever negative actions you did in the day, you get upset with somebody, or something went wrong, somewhere, then you regret. So the mind of regret prevents that. You see, if you don't regret, that mental energy keep on growing. So if you regret having done something, it undermines it reduces its power, right? And then if on top of that you apply an antidote, let's say you recite a mantra or you do good things to counteract that negative, you can actually completely destroy it. So you can make that negative action never brings about a suffering result, right? So it's good at the end of the day to look back your day. You reinforce the positive things you did by rejoicing, and you undermine the negative by purifying, by cleaning. And like that, see, that's how you take care of your mind, how you can have a wholesome life, just by living order, just take care of your mind, your mental health. You see, often people get depressed or, and they don't know how they got to that depression, but they never took care of the health of their mind. See? So if you take care of your the health, you actually have a happy life. You're okay. You take care of your mind. You're mostly happy because you create virtue. You don't let negative karma, you know, proliferate. You apply antidote. So even by living an ordinary life, can be quite happy. Okay, life goes with ups and downs like everyone, but your mind's kind of peace and health. Okay, you can deal with it. I think this is the main job of the spiritual practitioner. So you can do that at the beginning of the path as you main thing, but even then when you do higher practice, still that remains, because still, even though you might have shamatha, you might have higher realization, if you don't take care of your karma still works. I think this is very important. Okay, so that's the groundwork. So I think this is really, if you're a spiritual person that wants to be happy, so if you do just that, you don't need to meditate, you don't need to sit there and meditate, you don't need to study. Just if you do that much, you can have quite a happy life, and then you will have a happy rebirth. Very simple. Just take care of your thought, your emotion, and you rejoice in the positive, and you apply antidote to the negative. So now we have lunch break, but we're going to dedicate. So so whatever positive thought we have created by listening, reflecting, and meditating. So this we offer. So we offer. So you see, it's like an energy you create, and then you can direct that energy to work for different things. So we can offer it for us to have good cause in the future, to have a continuous precious human life in this life, and then next life again we have good condition, take care of our mind. Then we can offer this energy for our partner, our friends, our children, our people which we care for. So we didn't come here to get away from them, but to get some inner peace, inner quality to help them. So may this positive karma help parents, friends, children, community. And may ultimately it helps us to develop Boddhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. May it helps us to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, and may it helps us to one day help all living beings too. So by dedicating towards enlightenment, so that energy will never be lost until that goal is achieved. So if we just dedicate it for healing some friend, so that energy will keep on working till that purpose is achieved. But if you offer it towards enlightenment or the enlightenment of all beings, that energy will continue to work till that purpose is accomplished. Till all beings are enlightened, that energy will continue to grow. So that's why we try to dedicate it to our highest aim, towards enlightenment, all living beings. Thank you. We have a 1.5 hour break. 1.5, yeah.
So we'll meet here at 2:30.